A UNICEF report has revealed that young people in South Africa believe they can influence climate policies. Now, the findings come as Kenya is hosting the Africa Climate Summit in Nairobi. Now, the report has also pointed out that some young people still need training and support to make an impact on policy changes. Joining me now to give us some insight into what is going to be discussed at a summit. It's called Africa Climate Summit that is ongoing from the 4th to the 8th of this month. Toby Fricker is the communications head at UNICEF South Africa. Toby, good morning to you and thank you very much for your time. So part of the discussion here has to do with prioritizing children and young people in climate financing and resource decisions. Explain that to us, because yours is about advocating for child rights.
Yeah, that's right. No, thanks so much. I think, firstly, we know that the future well-being of children depends on children being able to grow up in a healthy, safe, sustainable environment. And what's absolutely critical now is that children, young people have that voice, that they really have their voices heard in terms of influencing climate policies and speaking out on what they see as the most important things that are impacting them today, because they are being impacted by climate change today. So we see the Africa Climate Summit is happening this week, but UNICEF South Africa did a Report poll where it was actually positive findings. We saw 70% of young people saying that they believe they can influence policy, their voices can be heard. So that's a positive, and so there's something to take from that. But it also shows that children and young people need more education, they need more awareness raising, and they need more spaces to be able to have their voices heard. We still see too many instances where children are not referenced when it comes to climate and environmental impacts.
So what is it then that young people can do to start influencing these climate policies? Because ultimately, and this is at the center of what is also being discussed at this climate summit, it's about preventing the worsening of this crisis, particularly for children.
Yeah, that's right, it is. And I think we've seen already children influencing certain policies. So, for example, General Comment 26, which sounds like a very technical document, but it's just come out. And it's basically an addendum to the Convention of the Rights of the Child, where it really commits states to protecting the environment, improving climate action for children. And that was informed by thousands of children's voices who were involved in that process to develop what's called General Comment 26. We've seen in South Africa young people engage in the Youth Climate Action Plan, which was presented in October 2021. We see that the government has had a delegation that has included young people in COP27 last year. So we're seeing steps being made, but it's also critical that these steps are taken at a community level. So, for example, UNICEF, we work with Ground Truth, we work with other partners to deliver on what are called the EnviroChamps program, where you have young people in the community who are identifying issues and then responding to that. So it could be water pollution, where they're monitoring the state of rivers and reporting that back through their ward councillors. So it builds in education, action and advocacy into that.
Let's talk about adapting social services to ensure climate resilience, Toby, because perhaps this could talk to the immediate actions of young people that will start impacting on the severity of what we are already seeing play itself out in the world.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we see in South Africa, the flooding in KwaZulu-Natal, destroying, damaging schools. We've seen water and sanitation systems affected by climate environmental related impacts. So what is really important is that we invest in trying to make schools safer from climate impacts, and children, being at school can do that. It's simple things like, where do you place classrooms? Where are the water sanitation facilities positioned?
Yeah.
How can we bring solar energy into the systems? So recently we've been working to build in solar powered cold chain facilities which keep vaccines safe. So we're bringing that in as well through the Department of Health and other partners. So there are a number of steps you can take, but it's absolutely key that we adapt now, really before it's even further too late for children to access the essential services that they need.
Last point I'd like us to deal with is the element about encouraging and incentivizing environmental and climate action ideas and solutions. That, at least in my thinking, would really help encourage young people to do what they can in their little corners, particularly if they know that they're going to benefit somewhat. Is that something that you think can be driven quickly by policymakers?
Yeah, I think it's really important, and we've seen that happening already. I mean, so for example, the EnviroChamps program, incentivizes also young people to go out and monitor their local environment, to act at a local level, and through that they can get stipends, etc., and get that support. What we saw, UNICEF South Africa, we did a poll actually a year ago where we actually saw a lot of young people referring to the green economy as really being able to provide jobs of the future. So it's also about providing the skills and training for children and young people now to be able to move into what could be jobs of the future as the green economy grows. We talk about the just transition and the work that could come with that. So it's about preparing children and young people now to really seize on those opportunities as well, and to be incentivized and to find work in the future through the green economy.
And who would best drive these actions, Toby, as we wind down our conversation? Who would help incentivizing these? Because if this is not taught at school level, particularly when children are still fairly young and impressionable, that's when they get taught how to take care of the environment. There is still a lot of litter that we jump over on our streets. People just don't seem to care about the environment. Where do you think that has got to begin?
Yeah, I mean, we say the climate crisis is a child rights crisis, and the response to that has to be holistic, so across sectors. So like you say, it starts really at the school level. It starts with bringing climate into education through life orientation classes, for example. We're working on a sports for development program that brings in climate issues as well and looks at water sports, so children learn about the environment around the water bodies in their local area. And then it really moves through to sort of youth engagement, so working at Presidential Youth Employment Initiative, looking at how you bring in the green economy, green skills through those existing systems that are already there. So there's many organisations, many partners, government working on these issues, and it's about really providing that holistic support to children, because it's not just about one sector, it's about access to health, education, and ultimately then employment as well.
Toby Fricker, thank you very much for your time and highlighting the important issues that have got to come out of these discussions around climate change. It is with us. It's a phenomenon that is spoken about just about at every summit, and world leaders very, very concerned about this, but what is to be done, that is of the most importance, I suppose. Toby Fricker is the Chief of Communications and Partnerships at UNICEF South Africa.